Hello, Randy Patrick here with Housing Bubble 2.0 news of the week, or as I like to call it, another episode of As the Housing Market Turns. Been a pretty busy week, kind of interesting with things going on. I do want to make a final comment at the end I just thought of right now, and we'll get to that in a second here. But topics for today is population migration, New York City liquidity dries up, Amazon impact, regional statistics, the industry is baffled, Moody's mortgage predictions, and foreclosure start update. So here we go. So first of all, we had an interesting article that came out the other day about population migration. And this was put out by the Census Bureau, and what it does, it tracks state to state migration flows. And I want to make sure everyone understands this does not include immigration. It's just people relocating from one state to another. And it looks like Americans quite obviously are fleeing the high tax states to go to the low tax states, obviously. And the number, sort of top 3 or 4, we'll say net losers of population are New York, Illinois, California, and New Jersey. They had the highest negative net population over the past year. New York lost 167,000 people. Illinois lost 144,000. California lost 138,000. New Jersey lost 73,000 people, and that's again net. So people are coming in, people are leaving, but the net result is a loss for these 4 states. Now, having said that, we can take a look at the other flip side, which the biggest gain states on net population migration, which was Florida at 119%, so 119,000, Arizona 95,000, North Carolina 70,000, Washington 62,000, and Texas at 57,000. And again, as I said, these numbers do not include immigration, just purely migration nets. And we knew this was going to happen. It's been a trend the past couple of years. Obviously, what I hear now, and I'm looking at the blogs and all the information, is people are actually getting their housing or their tax refunds in and noticing that the refund was not as big as it used to be, or those that were expecting a refund now are paying tax. So clearly this is going to permeate and will probably increase for the mass exodus states. There's no surprise there. New York City liquidity dries up. Very, very interesting article came out the past week. Realized that 52% of homes that were listed in New York City last spring have not sold. So more than half the market that was listed has not sold. It's still available. Of the 48% of the market that did sell so far, 70% of that number sold at significantly below asking price numbers. The median price cut between listing price and sold price was about 5.5% over this period of time. So what we found was that aggressively priced homes sold a bit faster, sold a lot faster. Some of them actually had an uptick in price. So if you were smart and priced your home to attract buyers, you may actually have gotten more for it in the end. Many sellers who could not find buyers pulled their home off the market. Shows that 40% either paused, delisted, or otherwise their homes are no longer available. Took them off the market. So if I couldn't sell it, I'm not leaving it on there, making it look too old, and I took it right off. Now, all these homes are expected to come back to the market, go back on market when the spring selling season starts again. And so that'll just mean what? More inventory, because people are still putting their properties back on the market or on the market going forward now. So that will be a bigger issue. Now, liquidity dries up when prices fall. So obviously people who aren't moving properties, pull them off the market. The liquidity will be where the buyers are able to buy. So it's going to be that number. So sellers are going to have to realize they're going to have to strategize and figure out a new sort of market plan here. They'll sell it when it hits the right point where the buyer's market's ready to accept it. And again, that's going to show that we'll see further price reductions and value decreases as the time goes on here. So we'll see a lot more declines in New York City in the near future. Amazon impact. So for those of you that haven't looked at the news the past couple of days, Amazon was going to build one of their HQ2 locations in Long Island City, New York, which I believe is a borough or a location in Queens. And they pulled out of that plan, stating various political, economic reasons, whatever. I'm not here to debate or talk about that. The point I'm trying to make, though, is that a lot of speculators, when they heard that Long Island City was a location that they were going to build their HQs, went out and purchased property, or they went under contract for property, and guess what's going to happen? Who knows? Well, if Amazon's pulled out and their comment was, we're not going to revisit this, we're not going to do another market search for another HQ2 location. So not coming back, which means, hey, if you put something under contract or bought something and prices did spike in this location, just because of this, you're going to be stuck now. So can you get out of a contract? Are you going to lose your down payment, your deposit, your escrow? Or have you bought something and now you've overpurchased and values will drop below as to what your purchase price was? So guess what? That's going to cause some issues. Apparently, many real estate brokers and agents are panicking or quite disturbed by this phenomena. Obviously, rightly so. They were looking at a lot of activity, a lot of upticks, a lot of, I recall the past, few weeks, a lot of open houses having, a lot of showings, people interested, multiple offer scenarios in that sort of closed little area, and that's all going to change now. So Amazon, big impact in that location. Some regional statistics here. California Bay Area, 43% more homes in the market last month in the San Jose area. Inventory increased by another 25% in the San Francisco area. In Santa Barbara County, median home price fell from $710,000 to $514,000 in the fourth quarter year over year of 2018. If you take a look at that, that's almost a $200,000 decrease in median home price. That's pretty significant if you ask me. The Seattle area had a 37% increase in inventory last month. Colorado, median sales prices were in Denver were down 1% year over year for January. Townhouse and condo prices are down 12% year over year for January. Tampa Bay area, I have statistics on this, so I'm not going to get into it now, but according to some realtors, it's going through a market rebalancing and a shift to a buyer's market. I can certainly tell you that the December and January numbers saw sales, double-digit sales declines and double-digit inventory increases in our neck of the woods here. I'll get more information towards the end of February where I can update that. The Houston area, sales fell for the third straight month and inventory was up 16.8%. Arizona, I don't hear too much about Arizona, but I did the other day. Phoenix, Arizona, January closed sales down 12.6% year over year, and 66% of the listings that did sell sold for less than asking price. So I know that the Phoenix market was kind of holding firm for a while there. A lot of the brokers and agents and comments I see on the video here is that the Phoenix is receiving a lot of the California exodus, and stuff was still pretty robust, but now we're starting to see things start to drop here, which is interesting. Miami, Florida. Obviously, Miami is one of the litmus and market sort of centers across the board here. It's one of the mega markets like New York City, San Francisco, San Jose, LA. Miami is one of them as well too. The supply of high-end condos over $1 million reflected a 57-month of supply in Miami. And that obviously is going to put a lot of pressure on the prices because that's a ton of supply. That's almost a 5-year supply. The number of units of inventory in this segment is at a record high. So Miami has never had this many condo units for sale. That's 11% year over year increase. And excuse me, how does this happen, you may ask? Well, it's quite simple. When developers are looking to develop and build high rises, these things just don't spring up out of the ground and get finished in 30 days. It usually takes a year or two for planning, zoning, construction, services to sales, etc. Could take 1.5 to 2 years. So when developers are developing, they're looking at a market and they're trying to predict the future market. So we know prices are here, the opportunity they think is here, let's build, let's develop. Well, it takes 1 or 2 years to finish up a project. And unfortunately, that's a long time with respect to real estate opportunity and price changes and the market changeability over that 1.5 to 2 years. So developers strike ground and go forward with a certain plan of sales in mind, and things can change. That's what's happened. So clearly, less buying, less need for it, a glut of development, and you're going to see now a situation that we saw last housing crisis where developers are stuck. They're going to have to reduce prices. If you've bought in the location as a speculator, you're going to get hurt. And because we did short sales in many of those locations when that happened, people would purchase their property and they can't, with the idea to sell, they can't sell. So what do? They live there, or they'll overpay, or maybe they rent it out, and then developers can't sell. Developers reduce prices, which hurts your value, and developers then start turning those units to rental markets, which, why buy it if you can rent there? So that's going to hurt a lot of people who've already purchased and either own or can't get out of deals in that Miami market. So things have clearly changed down there. Moody's released some information today based on some Fed statistics that they saw. They're making some mortgage predictions for the upcoming year and a bit. For those of you that don't know, Moody's is a credit rating agency. They analyze the finances of commercial and government organizations. They evaluate credit worthiness and credit opportunity. Moody's played a very big role in the previous housing crisis, if you're not aware of it. They did a lot of ratings for a lot of mortgage-backed securities and collateralized debt obligations, otherwise known as CDOs. If you want to learn about how this all transpired, I suggest everybody should do this just for fun and interest sake. Watch the movie The Big Short. I have it. Very interesting movie. It really gives you some cool behind-the-scenes look at what transpired during that time frame of the last sort of mortgage meltdown and housing crisis, the growth, the boom, the bust. Lehman Brothers folding up, operations, the whole bit. Quite interesting movie. Suggest you watch it as a little side note here. So again, they stated that the residential mortgage delinquencies were up 15 basis points from last year. They believe this trend is consistent with their predictions that delinquencies are on the rise. They expect that mortgage delinquencies will increase modestly over the next year, given the easing of underwriting standards. This is because the housing and mortgage industry is slowing down. They expect mortgage originators to loosen their standards for purchase loans, which will cause a growth in mortgage balances, of course. They say this is inevitable based on the current climate of the housing market, the mortgage industry. So loan profitability has declined significantly and margins have fallen. So when that happens, what's the generalization when that happens? Well, things go the opposite way. When credit is tight, then and profits aren't there, then things will loosen up to allow more opportunities. So they expect standards will be loosening now up to 12 to 18 months going forward. What does this mean for the market and for us? Well, it means it'll be easier for people to get a loan. That means lower credit score loans will be more available. Credit blemishes will be accepted. Less down payment will be encouraged and accepted, and will be, and is stimulated by the government as well too. Greater DTI, which is debt to income ratios, will be allowed, and we've seen that change going from 38 to 46 now to almost 50% in some locations, and then some more loan plans. So that's been pushed by the government in a lot of these loans. They'll look at any ways to get people into a mortgage and into a home. And we know that subprime mortgages are back. It's not called subprime, they're called non-prime. We know that the non-bank lenders, the shadow banking inventory is big time. They're the number one lenders out there, so that's increasing, a lot more risk there. We also know that variable rate mortgages are making a comeback. People can roll the dice on taking maybe a lower interest rate now to get into the home, to qualify, roll the dice down the road, kind of like what happened before. Yes, I will state as a side note here that some of those standards are a little tighter now, but the point is there's more risk in the marketplace. We'll probably see as this goes on that mortgage fraud risk the index will increase a few points. Just like old times, history repeats itself. So back in the day, the mortgage industry had issues with the subprime mortgage crisis and having those variable rates reset when people weren't able to pay they're on a fixed income issues, etc. So that may be a little different this time around, but the point though is that with the addition of more subprime, lower standards, more variable rate mortgages, increases risk, increases prediction of future defaults, delinquencies, and mortgages. So we've seen this before, we're going to see it again. Which brings me to the foreclosure updates. This actually was out about a month ago, and I never reported on it, just one of those things that I missed, I guess. And now, according to Adam Data Solutions, which always produces this information, distress is gradually creeping back into the housing market. In 2018, 1/3 of all state and local markets saw increases in foreclosure starts, filings, and etc. Now, some of these are driven by natural disasters like Houston, which saw a 61% increase in foreclosure starts, but Disasters don't explain increases in locations like Detroit, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Milwaukee, Austin, Texas, all of which posted double-digit increases in foreclosure starts. So now the national trend has been a constant decrease in foreclosure starts over the years. Now that is, and again, I want to clarify this or qualify this. When we had, 10 million people facing foreclosure back in the last housing crisis, statistically, it only can go down. So I don't want people to go, oh, life is great because we've seen month over month and year over year decreases in foreclosure starts. I mean, coming off a huge peak, it just has to decrease. That's just inevitable. And obviously, when we hit our sort of trough, like values went down, we hit the trough in 2011-12, and values increased. Those people who maybe were facing, a situation where foreclosure was a potential or default were a potential, could have cured that with loan modifications or the fact that the values now have come back to sort of absorb those issues. So that's why we're going to see a decrease in foreclosure starts over the years. But things have plateaued. We see, like from the last video, that underwater homes are plateauing, starting to get increasing again. And we'll start to see that the trend will start moving forward with foreclosure increases. So that's the scoop. 18 states posted year-over-year increases in 2018. Minnesota was up 29%, Texas up 15%, Michigan 15%, Florida up 13%, Louisiana up 5%, just to name a few. Now, that's the states that posted increases. If we go into a different way of looking at this, where states that had the highest percentage increase per housing units, we see New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, Illinois, and Connecticut. These are the top 5. New Jersey's held the top 5 since 2015. Next were Florida, South Carolina, Ohio, Nevada, and New Mexico to round out the top 10. So interesting to note that when you couple this with Moody's report, we can see it, and we should expect an upward trend in delinquencies and foreclosure starts as time goes on. Also interesting to note that it's not always the 4 Sunbelt states that are leading the way here. Back in the housing crisis, we had California, Arizona, Nevada, and Florida were the number 1 originators for foreclosure starts, the volume, the whole bit. Big time chaos. So we can see that there's other locations now, Eastern Seaboard. We're seeing some more central Midwest states as well too. So there's obviously more factors at play here that are forcing these statistics this time around. So just keep your eye on that. But again, where we are, summertime, spring and summertime, high values. Fall, we see values starting to slip. Fall, winter, we now see inventory coming on. Winter, we see sales slowing big time. All right, sales are slowing big time, and we're seeing more inventory coming on. And we're now starting to see tipping points where, again, massive dropping of prices, and year-over-year increases in value are plateauing and slowing down, almost starting to go negative now, which is interesting. And also, this one little piece that I pulled just before I got the video here, mortgage applications dropped despite lower mortgage rates. The industry is baffled. So mortgage originators and real estate agents, brokers, real estate industry participants, whatever, are bad, because the hope was that January we'd see a pickup. We obviously saw a slowdown in December, which some people go on record as saying it's a seasonal thing. Yes, there's always a seasonal slowdown in December, but December was a greater than expected slowdown. So everybody thought, oh, January would rebound, and guess what? We didn't have the January rebound. We still see price declines. We still see sales declines. We see inventory increases that are quite substantial, and even with lower mortgage rates. So the Mortgage Bankers Association, obviously known as MBA, tracks applications for conventional and government mortgages to purchase single-family homes. 6% fall from the prior week, which was down 5% from the week same time the previous year. So we're seeing less and less people engage in the housing market. This is despite falling mortgage rates, which should have really incented an increased volume of participation. So it was the 4th week in a row of drops. This index is considered a reliable indicator of impending home sales. So the decline, given the lower mortgage rates, mystifies the industry. So again, people don't know what to do. People don't know what to make of this. Very, very interesting to see what's going on here. I do think some of the holdback in government statistics has some impact on this. We don't know exactly what's going on, but one point I want to make. So, we've talked about, as I said, highs to lows to more inventory to less sales volume to starting to see price erosion and price decreases. Now we have people who are not interested in buying homes now that the rates have been reduced again. The Fed's looking at maybe holding off on further increases for a bit. They're contemplating that. What I haven't heard is a lot of economists that you normally hear discuss things and happenings and goings-ons in the industry have been remarkably quiet the past few months. That's because they don't know what to say, or they're afraid to say what they see. So what I'm pointing out here is that the signs are there. Those of you listen, I read the comments, and people are kind of, most people are kind of, we're going to see what happens. We're going to wait to buy. Things are sliding now. This will pick up the pace as time goes on. Again, transition period, but we're starting to see little bits of information that are pointing to a major slowdown in housing. How far will it go? That's the million-dollar question. I do expect to see significant decreases as time goes on. As I said, we'll probably have an uptick in activity for the spring selling season. And after that, we'll probably see some significant decline. So if you're looking to buy, keep your eyes open, figure stuff out. I think you're going to have some great deals coming in the future. Sellers have to understand that they can't hold on to thoughts of making those huge equity bumps because it's not going to be there. I know people pulled off the market, they're holding firm. Well, guess what? Buyers had the buyer fatigue. Buyers are not going to pay your premium prices anymore, and buyers are savvy and more knowledgeable. They're going to wait you out, and then we're going to see more volume come on, and sellers will be forced to drop prices to be competitive and to beat the other person on the same street. Simple as that. So everybody, again, appreciate the views, appreciate your likes, appreciate your comments. If you like what I talk about, want to know what's really going on in the real estate industry, please subscribe. That would certainly help us out here. I know that some of you have tried to connect with me. Some have, some haven't, or you've tried and I've not responded. I apologize. It's been a busy couple of weeks. I'll get back at it shortly. Some of you have asked for specific statistics on your specific market. So that's not always available or readily obvious for me to see. So I do research. So I know some of you have inquired. I'll be looking into those locations as time goes on here. For me, it's about research and taking the time to delve into market statistics, information that's not always easily at the top of the internet here. So again, a lot of you who are looking for quick information can just go to your local state real estate association, and sometimes they will post some interesting statistics there to give you some general ideas of what's going on in your location. But I'll try to get back to everybody. So again, for more information, you can contact me directly via email. For those of you who have inquired, I will get to you, and I apologize for the delay. So anyway, once again, thank you for watching. Hope everyone had a happy Valentine's Day yesterday. I didn't post because I figured, no one's watching on the 14th of February. But again, lots of information going on. Let's look forward to seeing more prices slide as time goes on, more buying opportunities. So you should never pay retail as my new motto. Never pay retail. Look for distressed housing, lowball offers. Look to make the sellers perform instead of you having to jump through hoops for the sellers as a buyer. All right, guys, take care. We'll talk to you soon.